Hey everyone, Monica Jazik of RPI Education, and welcome to the Financial Freedom Summit. In this series, you will hear from 21 experts sharing powerful wealth building strategies that 98% of the population are not using. These interviews are packed with real, actionable steps to help you fast track your financial freedom. So let's jump in with today's guest, Joshua Moore. Hey Joshua, how are you doing?
Hey, Monica, doing very well. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited and I can't wait. I'm going to read a quick bio for you to let the audience know exactly who you are and what amazing things you are doing. Josh Moore helps people create freedom through content, whether it's escaping the 9 to 5 grind, breaking out of hustle mode, or building a business that supports family life. Josh, I'm all about that. Um,
Oh,
after quitting his corporate job, he grew an audience of 800,000 plus followers on TikTok, made over 500,000 pounds from posting videos, and now travels full time across Europe in a van with his wife and 2 kids. His mission is simple: family first, freedom always. Josh, I feel like I found my long lost European twin or something. Like,
yeah. We would be twins. I think my hair's a little bit of a off blonde. Obviously, I'm the strawberry blonde. You're more of the blonde. But yeah. Thank you. And it's a great intro. And that's exactly it. I think you just nailed it. First time. That's exactly what I do.
I just love it. It's just so authentic. I think you literally like describe my retirement here.
Yeah.
Like just, oh, I just absolutely time, money, freedom is really what I stand for. And that's why I'm so
Mm,
excited to have you here today and have you inspired this audience of really like, let's get to the real core of financial freedom, like what people
yeah.
really are doing, from a monetary perspective, but also from lifestyle and value, because you only have
Mm,
one life. So we all got to make sure we live it. So
mm,
let's get a little deeper here. So, what's the wealth building strategy that you use that's created financial freedom in your life? And most people aren't using, TikTok, even though the creator industry really has gained popularity. So we might be able to inspire some creators out there. But why do you think it kind of is? It's kind of on the rise, but it's also, largely underused.
mm. Yeah, exactly that. And I think there's many. So the wealth building strategy that I use is content. Now, it's specifically video content, putting myself out there, sharing my story, sharing my truth, getting people to know who I am, what it is that I do. As I film this right now, I'm in a van, right? I'm literally in my motorhome. I've got black curtains, so you can't see all my living quarters, if you want to call it, right now. And this is the life that I've been doing for the past 10 months. And I've got my wife. We've been happily married for 3 years. I've got a 3-year-old son and a now 18-month-old daughter, or new 18. I don't like saying they're old when they're only 18 months. They're still aged 18 months. And my wealth building strategy, the way that I was able to build this wealth, and when I consider wealth, it's not just money. And I know you, your audience, anyone's watching, they always around financial freedom and chasing, well, not chasing, but getting that financial freedom. And to me, there's different levels and different ways that we can classify wealth and freedom. So for me, freedom is time freedom, it's financial freedom, and it's location freedom, right? So I want that time to be able to spend with my family. I want that location to go where I want, what I want, and I want the financial freedom so that I can actually live life without having to compromise. I don't want to second guess decisions or things that I want. I just want to say, hey, if my wife wants something, let's go and get it for you. I want you to have that because that's something that I never had. When I was a kid, we were, could say, very poor. We were kind of living off state and benefits. I'm in the UK, by the way, so if everyone's watching here in the US, I'll often use pounds or state benefits. I sometimes meddle them up. But for me, my wealth building strategy was content. And it really started when I was just started to create content. I was just talking around what I was learning. And when I was originally posting on TikTok 5 years ago, I didn't know how to use TikTok. And I'm 30, coming up to 38 now. Would you believe it? I know people say I still look 18. But one thing is that I'd go back there and I was, why can I not use TikTok? And I'd gone through university. I had got 2 degrees in advertising, marketing. But back then, we never covered the modern social medias. It was Facebook was just breaking through in around 2006. You didn't have Snapchat, Twitter, X, they call it now, um, Instagram, all of those. So then I was so frustrated. Well, why can't I use TikTok? How can I not understand how to use it? So I just started posting what I learned. It would say, here's how to go live on TikTok. Here's how to record a video. As simple as that. And I soon grew to 800 or 100,000 followers in 6 months. People started reaching out and they kept asking, how are you growing so fast? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just sharing what I know. The things that I'm learning, my skill set, I'm just sharing. And soon people started paying me for it. And they kept paying me to the point where I was like, I can't sustain keeping a 9 to 5 because I was making more from TikTok. So I just, one day I remember 5 years ago, I handed in my resume, took my birthday off. The day after, I handed in my notice to say, that's it, I'm done. And I still remember my business coach turning around to me at the time. And he said, remember this day, because this is the last day that you're ever going to need a CV. Right. And that's really stuck with me
Wow.
because once you can get that skill set of how to create content to not only market yourself, but also sell yourself, you never really have to worry about much. You don't have to worry about going back to a job because there's always going to be people that need your skill set or what it is that you need. So
Absolutely.
that was my wealth building strategy, really.
That's incredible. And so you had a coach, you had a mentor help you, but you said a business coach. So you had more of a
Mm.
business coach, or but you self-taught a lot of the TikTok and using the strategies of your
Mm.
business coach, applied them towards making TikTok something that you could really, really become an expert at.
The thing is, I'd never even thought about it as a money thing. I never thought about monetization, that people would actually pay me for my knowledge. We have our traditional route where we get paid for a 9 to 5, but it's almost like we've had to go on through university or training or certifications to earn that. But the only way that traditionally we're told by parents, by grandparents is, hey, go to work your
Mhm.
40 hours, stamp in for the man, take your week off every 6 months, travel, do what you want to do with that time, but then get back to it and do that for 40, 50 years. And then at the end of it, you'd have saved enough money, you can retire and life can slow down. And even something you just said there, it's like, hey, you're living that retirement. And yes, and we'll get into this shortly. And there's reasons as to why I'm doing that. And there was a big pivotal moment in my life where I knew that something had to change, but I never even thought that I could monetize. I always
Mhm.
thought TikTok specifically was the app for kids. And it was only when people started reaching out to me when I was just like, they're like, oh, can I pay you? And I'm like, it's fine, I'll work for free. Right. I'll just
Yeah.
do it for free. Like, I don't know how, surely you don't want to pay me for this. So there was some second guessing myself. And then I was like, well, maybe I should pay it. It's like $50 for an hour of my time, which I
Mhm.
thought was a lot. I'd never made that much working like at supermarkets or anything. It was usually like $10, $15. So
Yeah.
then I'd hired that coach, and then within 6 months, I'd gone from making $4,000 or $5,000 a month in a sales job to making ten to $15,000 a month from TikTok. And I was still kind of creating a version of my 9 to 5 because I was still working 8, 10 hour days, even weekends. So the work was still there, but the money had got a lot more of an
And you're
income.
doing what you love, so it doesn't feel like working. Like I love always
Exactly.
saying, as an entrepreneur, I work 24 hours a day, but I'm on vacation 24 hours a day.
Exactly. And I think, and to be honest, I'll certainly kind of touch upon that. We can touch upon that as well. I think for me, it felt there was a lot of joy and a
Hmm.
lot of passion that came through that because I loved talking about TikTok to the point it was around COVID, by the way, where I really got stuck into TikTok, and that's where everyone was downloading. That was, they could, because we could do nothing else. We were just watching TikTok videos and scrolling. I used to go live for about 4 hours a day. And I was
Yeah.
just on live, just talking. People were asking me questions about content. How do you do this? And I was like, hey, you need to do this, do this, do this. And
Hmm.
then monetizing it, there was over the past 5 years, I've monetized and made hundreds of thousands from it. But it was only maybe in the last 6 months that I realized that I'd lost a lot of why I started because my mind becomes so focused on monetization that I lost that passion for it.
Hmm.
So it was almost like the intention behind it is to make money, which I don't feel, especially when you create content or when you
Yeah.
show up or when you talk, there's a certain transfer of energy. I
Yes.
say, and we may have seen this if anyone's watching, people will go and create content. One quick idea is, oh, I just quickly need to repost this. That usually done
Hmm.
so much better than any video that's been planned for hours, weeks, or days, because it's that transfer of energy. And when I started losing the passion for it, my views dipped, my followers dipped, and I kind of lost myself along the way and really was questioning what I'm doing because it was so much so about I need to post this to make money. I need to get a client. I need to get a sale. When in the first, it wasn't it. It was like, hey, I've learned this thing. I want to share it. I'm not expecting anything in return.
Yes.
But learning to monetize was definitely the game changer for me because
Hmm.
I could have had hundreds of thousands of followers, but without the money, it's just it's just a following.
Because we
So
need to get authentic followers as well as authentic clients and
mm,
authentic people you want to help. I think in entrepreneurship, if you operate from a get mentality
mm,
and not a give mentality, you're never going to be fully happy. And I
mm,
think so, even though you're, and giving doesn't mean giving things away for free, but it means doing things like this Financial Freedom Summit, for example,
mm,
as a wealth builder. I love to connect with entrepreneurs and give advice. And you're here because you were so excited about this project. This is what you stand
yeah,
for, and you want to give. And the
mm,
20 other experts, they all are coming. No one's coming like, ooh, I get to do this and that. Everyone's here like, yeah, I love sharing my story.
yeah,
I think when it is authentic and it is, organic, that's really when we're able to be our true selves. And that's contagious because then people could
yeah, yeah,
really, because I think we get tense when we get in
mm,
that get mentality. So as long as we stay positive in that give, we're able to help even more people. Now, I know before you said you were in this corporate world, this sales, 9 to 5. And you mentioned a pivotal moment. I want to dig more into
mm,
that. Do you remember that this specific moment where you're like, uh-uh. Something's got to give here. I need to
mm.
make a change fast.
So I still remember there was a time, it was around, my son was about 6 months old. It was probably close to almost like 2.5 years ago. It was Christmas time. And I built a great team. I had my business coach who stepped in as my chief of operations. I had a salesperson, I had appointment setters, I had a tech guy. So I had about 7 people working for me at the time. And wages plus ads, it was about 25 to $30,000 that we were spending. I still remember actually touching down in Australia, and I opened up my bank account. I had $5,000 deposited into my bank account, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. I've made it. And whilst I was away in Australia, I was there for 3 weeks, spending some quality time with my family. I say spending quality time. I caught COVID, and I was 2.5 weeks of the 3 weeks. I was bedridden in Australia, which was supposed to be this amazing trip, but that was unfortunate. Still getting up at 2 a.m. and 2 a.m. every single day to take coaching calls as well. So I didn't actually have that freedom. I was still breaking up a lot of my sleep routine. And I come back from that. And whilst we were hitting $50,000 a month, it was all great. It was all plain surfing on the outside. But on the inside, I was just screaming. I was like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be here. I don't want to keep doing this. And it had become so much more about money, so much more about, as you said, chasing and getting rather than just give without any expectation of receiving anything, that I self-sabotaged. And the business almost like flatlined to a point. I had to get rid of the team and get rid of everyone else. And it got me to that point where I've got a decision to make. Do I keep rebuilding the way that I did, in the way in terms of build that team, grow from that, and do all of those things? And bear in mind, working, I was originally working at a home office, but I realized that with my newborn son there, he was making lots of noise. We had a dog. I couldn't focus on the team and calls. So I hired an office 30 minutes away. So I was still 12 hours away from the home, wasn't working there as well. And there was a few moments. One, the business was at a point where I couldn't even afford. My wife had to go to Italy with my son. I couldn't go because we couldn't afford it. I had to stay and I had to work at the business because I was chained to the business.
Hmm.
So that was the first moment. And then the second moment come when I suddenly got one time I got a call from my auntie and she was very upset. And she rang to say, like, hey, I'm really sorry, but last night your uncle passed away. And I still remember like the rawness, and because he was the connection to my father's family, who I lost my father at a few months old. He took his own life because he couldn't handle the pressure of being a parent. So he
Mm.
decided to end it for that and for various other reasons as well. So I was brought up by my mom and my grandparents for a lot of my life. So he was my only connection to my dad's side of the family, which I've never really known. But we'd connected with him only later in life. So he's only really been in my life 6 years, but a few years ago he passed away. And the story of how he passed away really touched me in the sense of how quickly life can come and how quickly life can go. So the story was this: he'd gone out for a gig with his wife, come home, went up to stairs to the bathroom, and then my auntie heard a bang. And she's like, Brian, are you okay? Brian? She went upstairs, he'd collapsed on the bathroom floor, instant gone. Now he
Mm.
was only about 3 to 4 years away from retirement. And he'd been in working at the BBC here in the UK. It's kind of like CNN or Fox. It's like a big corporation, probably heard of the BBC. And he was planning for it. He needed to get more years in so he could get that retirement, and he'd planned to travel, build out his garden, and do all of these amazing things that he'd always wanted to do for so long. And in an instance, it was all gone. And for me, that was really the point. I was like, I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm not going to keep working in this office. I'm not going to keep grinding in this business in a way that doesn't feel aligned and always chasing money and doing all these things. I want something different. So I decided to give up the office. I went home and I restructured my whole business around my life so I could spend as much time with my son. And now I've got a daughter. She come along as well. It's the best decision. And since then, we sold the house and now we moved into a van 10 months ago. But it's the reason I don't want to wait for retirement to get the things that I want. I wanted
Mhm.
to take that now. I wanted that freedom now. My young family, you only stay young once. And as we were just having a brief discussion here about sending your kids all off to schools and universities, I can imagine there's some emotions that are attached to that. But I never want to look back and say, I wish I was there for them. I wish that I wasn't working all the time. I wish that I'd actually gone through and pushed past any fears that I had that it's not going to work out. This isn't what people do. This isn't what my parents have done and my grandparents have done. Push through that fear and just do it anyway. And that's what I did. And it was those moments where I felt that the business wasn't aligned, so I changed. I
Yeah.
got rid of everyone, but also my life wasn't aligned. So I changed my life. And it's only been, I mean, it's not all plain sailing. We could talk for hours about how it is in the van with screaming kids and calls. The kids are out now, so there's not too much noise, but it's beautiful moments that I get
Mhm.
to see them, right?
Yes.
They see the world, they see faces, they see people, they make experiences. And while they can't process it, I know deep down in the root of their consciousness, they're seeing faces, they're creating stories, they're creating memories. And for me, that's all I want. I want them to
Yeah.
know that I was present, that I prioritized them over everything else.
Mhm.
That's
And
so it's those
the key
moments.
word
And
there is present too. I think
exactly.
freedom lies in the present. The present moment is really a gift. We can't,
Mm,
and that's why Vaughn ended up doing his retirement at the age of 40. On his 40th
mm,
birthday, knocked on his boss's door and said, I quit because he was tired of trading time for money. We had four small kids. He was tired of missing out in those present moments, and he was just exhausted and noticing everyone retiring was dying right after.
yeah.
And it was really, really eye-opening. We realized it took us 5 years to get there,
Mm,
to that early retirement, but then we were both home. And I think that's because I was a stay-at-home mom. And
mm,
being home with these kids, watching these kids leave the nest, it's truly great to really have those times because the first thing in my gratitude every morning is thank you for another amazing day on this amazing earth. Like
mm,
we're all one heartbeat away for death. We have to
exactly.
stop living for tomorrow and really just start living today. So that's really, thank you for sharing that personal and powerful story. I absolutely love that. That's so authentic and it's amazing. And it's also important to know that the goalposts change with freedom. So you and
Mm,
I hopefully become great friends 5 years from now, are still having this conversation and all of a sudden a van might not cut it. And now you have a new thing of freedom because you might find this amazing place in the world that you want to settle for X many years.
mm,
And Vaughn and I might be in a van.
yeah,
Maybe we'll get your van. We'll be in the van because all our kids are gone. You become more
exactly.
stationary. Who knows where life takes you? But as long as you're living life and life's not living you. But let's get into the content creation a bit too, because I want to also point out there's different ways people can build wealth through
Mm,
content creation. One, I had heard that becoming a content creator is now one of the most popular ways and popular forms of entrepreneurship, particularly for the younger generations. This
mm,
really is a career like medicine, law, content creation, being a creator.
yeah,
It's amazing. It opens up a whole new avenue and it really is limitless wealth. I always say there's 10-year-olds selling slime on YouTube,
yeah,
making $1 million a month. You could do it. If they could do it, people
mm,
could do that. Maybe that's not their benchmark, but just to show it really is like this no caps lifestyle. Also, if you're a business owner, or an entrepreneur, you need to learn to master content. TikTok is not easy, Josh. I respect you for getting it. We are notoriously bad on TikTok because we sit there and we treat TikTok like other platforms and we are old and boring. And my daughter says, Mom, no one wants to watch this. You need to change.
mm,
You figured that out. And then the third way is how do you also get a nice happy medium? You could work your 9 to 5 and also have a great side income by even doing TikTok shop or selling things for other people. I mean, that's
Mm.
another great way, but to do any of it, you have to be good on TikTok. So can you kind of walk us through sort of the strategy, quick some tips or stuff that you would use and how you kind of really started getting going on how you started capitalizing and monetizing on this and eventually achieve this financial freedom?
Yeah, and there's already, and I mean, there's tons of even beliefs there, what you've just shared of like how it's hard or, you know, things people don't want to see or this kind of stuff as well. And, it's always trying to first understand who you try to speak to, right? What you share is not going to be probably relevant to your young daughter because she's probably not the person that you're trying
No.
to attract or the person that you're trying to speak to. But I can certainly kind of share from my own perspective around I've shifted a lot in content and I've seen lots of waves and not only for myself, but also my clients. And whilst it may look different on the surface, it's all rooted in psychology and understanding of different types of content serve different types of purposes. So usually there's three buckets of content. One is to increase your reach, second is to nurture, and the third is to convert. And there are many ways that you can monetize. As you said, you could do TikTok shop, you could sell. I like to sell my IP, my intellectual property, because that's something that I own, that's something that no one else owns. And I can almost copyright it because no one's got my story, no one's got my experiences that I go through. And I think that's what really is what people buy into now, especially if you're here and you're marketing yourself. When you look at people and these kids selling slime, these 10-year-olds, mostly it's not the slime that people care about, it's the person selling the slime. So it may be like this 10-year-old kid and he's got this outrageous bubbly personality that becomes infectious not only for other 10-year-olds who love to be like him, but for parents who wish that they had a kid like him. So there's all of these different things that come into it. But I like to kind of, whenever I'm creating content, I always understand that when we think about traditionally sharing value, people say, hey, share value, share all this kind of stuff. And most people think it's just tips and tricks. And I thought that for a very long time. And I grew most of my account sharing how to TikTok tips and tricks. But what I soon found is that that has a very short shelf life in terms of anyone can come and create it. Anyone could copy that. And especially now where you have AI, you can go on AI and get a full content strategy planned out for you, hooks, viral hooks, and all that kind of stuff, which is great if your goal is just to grow. And
Mhm.
you could build a great audience. My wife, even yesterday, was showing me this account, and it's this little kind of furry animal eating fruit. I'm like, how many followers have they got? Like 700,000. How many views? They get average like 20 million views. But they're probably making a lot of money because you can make money from going viral, getting views.
Mhm.
But for me, value, when we talk about it, it could be tips or tricks, it could be discussions, it could be humor, it could be sharing lived through experiences and stories. So for me, I would always say what I have something when it comes to people say, I don't know what to post. And I know we met each other on an original networking event a few weeks ago, and it was around like, I use it the everyday content method. And this is taking thoughts, opinions, stories from your everyday and creating content around it. And since I've been able to create more and document, not create, because that's a trap that people fall into. I have to create content. And really, content is just a curation of your lived through experiences, opinions, and stories. So when you just document, you share, rather than you actually telling people and like teaching them all the time, people connect with you. So I really have deeply shared a lot of my truths about life, about travel, about freedom, and that's the create resonance, and people have really connected with that. And the more that you can start sharing that, you're going to magnetize the right type of people. But it's doing it without fear or worry of what those people who you're not trying to target will say or think, right? I always have this
Mhm.
thing that I'm like, my wife is going to kill me for sharing. That's not literally, but she's going to say, don't talk about that. But for me, I want to share that because that's true authenticity. It's sharing what you want to talk about without fear of judgment, without fear of hate, because there's always going to be people that don't agree, just like there's always going to be people that agree. And when I really understood that the people that agree are more meaningful to me than the people that don't, that's where I think I just, again, had that freedom to create and speak. So if anyone's here, again, like a good kind of a quick takeaway that I said is like, look at where have you been? What have you done in life? Share those stories, share an insight or share a lesson that you learned, because most people that you're trying to help, they could be anywhere from like one step behind or 20 steps behind. And I think for me, when we link back to where I was talking about earlier, it's like why would someone pay me for my knowledge? But even just buying a van, some people may be working in an office 12 hours, and they're like, how can I work out of a van, right? And they don't know what that first step looks like. So just talk about where you are now, what you've done, and naturally, if you're looking to get more people or maybe monetize, people will reach out and say, "How have you done that?"
Mhm.
And then you may say, "Well, let me show you how." Then they could pay you for it if the pain or that problem is big enough.
I love that. That's amazing. So, how does this strategy, because you've totally changed everything in your life, really go against conventional business advice or like social media production advice?
Traditionally, I think whenever we create a business or a life or social media, right? When we talk about creating business, I think we're so conditioned because most of us maybe come from a corporate background or work on a 9 to 5 that you have to clock in, you have to clock out, do your 8 hours a day. And that was me for so long. I literally left my 9 to 5 job, went to the weekend. On Monday, I was starting work at 9 o'clock in my own business and I clocked off at 5 o'clock. So I just created my own version of a 9 to 5, which in the early stages it needs to get done. And no way am I saying that, in those early stages of building a business, you definitely have to grind a little bit harder, work a little bit harder as well. But it's about being smart, not just being busy. It's about being productive as well. So for me, when I think about the traditional way of running or building a business, it's like you can just literally create content, send some messages to people, and have conversations with them. And that could be all organic. You don't have to pay for it. You can run your business out of a van, right? You just need a Wi-Fi, and 90% of my business is run off of a phone. Like I do one charge on my laptop lasts me a whole uh week, right? That's how much I little on my laptop during the week. But for social media, we often hear the advice, well, it has to be really polished, it has to be
Mhm.
highly edited. You have to only fit yourself within a specific box or a specific niche because that's what the algorithm loves. When really the algorithm is just people. If people resonate, if they like it, it's going to get pushed out more. That's basically what an algorithm does. It signals like rewards based on if people liked, engaged, or watched. I'm going to push it out to more people because it's obviously a good signal that it's good content. So for me, I'm the opposite, and I'm pretty lazy, I'm not gonna lie, in the sense of how I create content. I will literally grab my phone and I will just speak to camera. I'll share a truth, I'll share an opinion, I'll share a story, a tip, a piece of advice that I have. And being able to just do that, not curate in terms of
Mhm.
like spend loads of time editing and highly polished. If you check out my TikTok, you'll see it. If you check out my YouTube, you'll see it. It's just me talking to like my best friend for 7 minutes, but instead of my best friend, it's just a camera. So,
Yes.
so I think it's going against that. A business doesn't have to be you locked in an office 12 hours a day. You don't have to have a big team. You can still do it solo. And social media, it doesn't have to be highly polished. It doesn't have to be edited. Every post doesn't have to go viral, right? Because 95% of mine haven't. It's just about showing up consistency, getting it done. And I think the reason where most people fall down and most people will fail is they'll say, "Hey, I'm going to do social media." If they don't get those immediate results or that instant dopamine, they'll give up. They'll try something else.
Hmm.
I've been doing this for 5 years, coming up too soon,
Yeah.
and I've posted when I've got one view the day before. I've posted when I've got a million views the day before. I'm still showing up the same day. And that's
Hmm.
what's going to be the difference between those that do make social media work for them and those who don't. And it's about not giving up, even when days are
Yeah,
tough.
consistency. I think consistency and organized planning are very, very
Mm,
important. And you have to keep at it because you don't know when that video is going to go viral. And even if it goes viral, you have to keep creating that content. Now, I'm obviously not in, and it's so important. I just want to express to the audience, whether you're in business and entrepreneurship, like how important it is. If you do not have a social media presence or at least
mm,
accounts, you're dead in the water, really. People have to know who they are. And I've always used our social media accounts, not to monetize, but as a way to for people to see who we are
mm,
and what we stand for. And what we stand for always is time, money, freedom. And I love
mm,
TikTok. I'm not good on TikTok, but I will watch TikTok. So I don't really watch TV. I don't go to the
mm,
movies. I work a lot, but I love a lot. Like I live my life as my business. I usually watch TV maybe just to calm down. That would be at the end of
mm,
the day, and I'll probably fall asleep. TikTok will be the 1 hour a day I will give my special time to watch these amazing creators and
mm,
be entertained, get new ideas. But I also do find myself pulling out my camera a lot and shooting very, very raw, unedited clips of things that really matter or taking pictures of things for Insta that really kind of resonate with me at that particular time, and then I'll go back. So, for example, one way I use TikTok to show time, money, freedom in my life was a bit of a joke. But it was saying, like, if I say I'm on an appointment, I'm probably, and then it would be a picture of me on the tennis court, a
Mm,
picture of me suntanning, a picture of
mm,
me at the tennis, a picture of me with my kids. Like, but those to me, because my life is my business, it's always
yeah.
appointment. So that really is more of the time, money, freedom. And so am I doing it correctly? Probably not. Like I think if you really kind of want to start, because it's anyone could do it, but to do it properly, I think that's when we really need to tap into experts also like yourself to really kind of get these small, like Tony Robbins says, 2 millimeter changes and some
Mm,
of these really proven systems into place just so more people could reach. Because the reason I love TikTok so much, Josh, and everyone out there, I think it's better than Insta, it's better than Facebook. And this is why. It's the only thing. I post a video, 1 second later, you'll have 200 views.
yeah.
Like, huh? How the
Mm,
heck did that happen? And then you get comments and likes, and you're like, what? So, what is my total audience reach here? Like, I could be reaching 1 billion people. Like, so say if I have a product or something here and I have a really important message to share, if I could do it the right way and
yeah.
use someone like you to get that right audience out there and they see it, because the problem is I think not many people see my things. I think I might be stuck in the 200 view to 500 views. Sometimes I get a couple of them to go viral. But sometimes you feel like if you're not doing the organized systems, you might be stuck in this certain thing. People really aren't getting that message. But how amazing is it to think that 1 billion people, I could reach 1 billion people in a matter of seconds if I could just do this the right way. That to me is power almighty. That's why I love the
It's
TikTok platform. And if TikTok disappears and goes away, I'm 99.9% sure another platform which has the same capabilities will pop up.
it it always it is, but I think really when we think about platforms and specifically, whilst I love TikTok as it created incredible opportunities for me as well, it's just more I feel that there's different types of people, the way they consume. And I feel that for me, it just aligns a lot more with the type of creator I am. Like again, I I I won't wash my hair for a few days. I'll show up a bit unshaven, and that's the way that I want to show up because it's true, it's authentic. And I think for a lot of other platforms, specifically Instagram, it's a lot more polished. There's a lot more time and effort that goes into it, and it works well for creators who have validated ideas and they put validation. They've got ideas, they put into the marketplace, and this all works and it gets tons of views. But I think the barrier to entry for specifically TikTok is very low. Now, for example, I remember one time I actually was picked up by the TikTok team and they said, "Hey, we want you to come live with us on TikTok." And I went live with the girl, one of the young girls on their team, and we did an analytics training for an hour. I got the results after I went hour, and in that 1 hour, we had over 140,000 people join that live.
Oh my,
I got 37,000 followers in 45 minutes of that live. And my from that, I think I probably would have got easily $50,000 in revenue from people reaching out asking for some form of TikTok coaching or
mm,
help with their content as well.
God.
And it's just like that how your life can change. And I think it's almost like there is a lottery to this, right? When you put that coin in, you put a post out, and that could change your life. It's changed so many creators. But when I'm trying to think if there was a thing, I believe it was like a film with Bryan Cranston in where it was like they gamed the system, right? They gamed the system to buy like if they knew they bought like 1 million lottery tickets, they could make the 10 million jackpot or something. So when you reach out to hire an expert like me or like tons of other people, I'm nowhere near the best out there, but it's almost like how can I kind of game the system just 2 millimeters? Because that 2 millimeters, when we think about even a plane, if a plane was going off 2 millimeters in the wrong direction
Mhm.
from LA to London, they'd probably end up in Iceland or somewhere, right? Just that tiny little shift can really change your path of where you're heading towards that North Star, wherever we are. And we spoke about this. My North Star is freedom, family, and right now I don't know what that future is holding for me, but I know I'm still heading towards that and maintaining that. But that's where it could be so important when you just know, oh, actually, if I just say that, I did it once with one of my few clients. Said, hey, he was a real estate investor. Actually, I was like, start off with a hook: 5 reasons why you always stay broke, and that got like 8 million views.
Mhm.
But it made him 6 figures because those people aligned with what he was saying, and
Yeah.
he was on their radar. And on the flip side, content can not only be a great discovery tool, but it can be an accelerator, especially for business owners. I work with a Facebook ads expert right now. She gets a lot of new traffic from like networking groups, and they follow her Instagram and her TikTok. And literally within days, she says, I see them. They like all my stuff, they comment on my stuff, and then 3 days later, they book in a call and they pay me $7,500.
Mhm.
And that's ultimately what content does. It not only helps you get discovered, but it speeds up that nurturing process to get conversions.
Yeah.
I did a post once and I got someone like it. They followed me, they DM'd me, or they booked in a call like 10 minutes later. Within 24 hours, they'd already paid me $5,000. And they didn't even know who I was before then. But they'd binge watched all of the content, the
They
good and the
do. They
bad,
feel like they know
right?
you. They
Exactly.
feel like they have a relationship. It's like when you're on TV and you think the characters are your friends.
Exactly that.
Like sometimes you have to remind yourself, I don't know these people, but you have this like, and I think that for a producer, that's like, or an author, the number one secret is to draw the reader or watcher in to feel like they
Yeah.
know that person. They can see themselves through that person. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, that is it's like so important. And I can totally feel your authenticity through your videos. And that's why it's important to me too. You're not always, just really show. Sometimes I share things that aren't so good.
Yeah.
Because real RPI stands for real property
Mm,
investments. We want to help real people
mm,
build real wealth through real estate. So we're really about this real, raw, authentic, like we don't need smokes and mirrors. We want people
yeah.
to really, because we want to help people and we want people to see they're not alone with whatever they're struggling with. We're all just people on this journey together.
And this took me, and Monica, glad you said this, took me so many years to realize this because I was like, I needed to show up as the perfect person. My old videos, me in a shirt, brushed hair, glasses, my beard was always the same length to the millimeter. My background was kind of like what yours is right now. And it was like the books, I changed offices 3 times in total, and every time the books were in the right position. I
Yeah,
took photos so the books didn't move. And then as soon as I switched away from that, I was like, well, why don't I go push further? Why don't I share about how hard it is to manage a business from a van? Because trust me, this isn't all perfect. Or let me talk about how I went from making 50,000 a month in my business to almost having to quit and go back to a 9 to 5. Or let me talk around how maybe I'd hired a business coach and, there was some manipulation and some blackmailing in there as well. And all of these things, it just makes you real. And I don't think any AI can't create this. This is all the operator, but I think it's those failures and those things that, oh, how are you still doing this? Oh, I can't believe you went through this, that people can relate to a lot more than, hey, I'm at the beach, I'm playing tennis, look at me, I'm just sipping pina coladas every single day. Because
yeah,
whilst that does create a destination that people want to get to, they want to know what roads, what bumps in the road did you hit? Because I'm at that bump and I just haven't been able to get over it for the past 6 months. When
mhm,
you share that, people are like, wow, you've got over that bump, or you've gone through that hurdle that I've seemed to have stuck at. Maybe you can help me the way that you helped yourself. So for me, it's about sharing your truth, and that's sometimes uncomfortable for a lot of people because, as I just shared with you, like the story about my uncle, and I've only over really the past year started to share a bit more of that story because it's been fear, there's been uncomfort of like, well, what if I overshare? What if I share too much? What
yeah,
will people say? What will people think of me? They won't buy from me. But then it's accepting that if that's why they don't buy from you, they were never meant to work with you anyway, or you weren't the person for them. And it's again, it's
yes.
it's owning that and be like, I'm not for everyone.
Yes, it's like reverse. Like I find in sales and in real estate investments, particularly, there's always so much NLP, and they
Yeah,
fill these rooms with people and talk people into doing things. Then
yeah,
you wonder why people buy. They'll spend tens of thousands of dollars, and then they don't do it because they
they'll feel
didn't want to be
guilty.
there in the first place, and they
Yeah.
probably. So you basically now have clients that you talked into doing something. I think people should make their own decisions, and through this, they get a chance to know you
Mm,
and really understand who you are and what they stand for. And then
mm,
they're genuinely excited because I cannot help people until they're ready to make that change. And
yeah,
they have
exactly
to be
that.
able to want to make that change. Otherwise, let's pretend you had all these people sign up. Oh, I want to do TikTok. I want to do social media. Oh, but I don't want to shoot video. I don't want to, they
Yeah.
just wanted to be closer to you and sign up to you. But you really want to like help people and do it. So
Yeah.
they got to be ready. And I think we just got to keep being real, authentic, and tap into the
I've
real
had
stuff.
that. I mean, if people want to pay to be closer to a roommate, I've had that. One lady paid me and she's like, I don't really need help with TikTok. I just want to spend an hour talking to you because you seem like a
Mhm.
nice guy. I was like, okay, I'll do it. Right. I'll just talk about it. My wife felt that she fancied me and she just wanted to see me on camera for an hour. But that's what my
You're
wife
getting a
said.
fan club. You're
That's
getting all these
the feeling,
DMs
the
soon.
feeling she said as well. But I'm in complete agreement with you. And I think for me, especially because there's always two sides of building wealth, it's like marketing and sales, especially if you're doing it for yourself. And, if you find that you're having to twist people's arm in the selling, your marketing or how you talk about or how you represent yourself isn't doing enough. And
Yeah.
I one of my things is I've actually come to realize is that whilst I think I grew out of love with I've had thousands of sales calls, and I think I grew out of love with it because I didn't like doing the objection handling. But it
Mhm.
really I said, hey, I don't want to do objection handling anymore because you're right. They need to feel ready. They need to have seen what they need to see. So if people say no, I say, cool, no worries. If the time's right in the
Yeah.
future, you know where to find me. And I think just having that, it makes me better at content because my content should really sell people on me and the way that I do things and what I do. So that sales calls are really a, hey, how much do you want to pay me? What service level do you want to come in at? Rather than let me try and tell you what you need to go and tell your wife so she can make you do this, even though deep down they
Yes.
feel guilty and they resent it, because that's not the best way to start a relationship. If you've had to strong arm or twist someone to do
Yeah.
it, they're all adults. They should make that decision for themselves. Say, yeah, I don't need my wife or my own person or my husband, whatever that may be, or I'll go speak to them. But I know that I want this, and I'll talk to them in the way that I need to talk to them, not the what you tell me
And those
to
clients that you
say.
talk into things, they're often the most problematic clients because they don't want to be there really in
100%.
the first place.
No,
I
no,
often say I'm probably too transparent. I'm like, listen, we have price points for all people. They're all on our website. You go on there and make a decision. And
yes,
I'm here. You know where to reach me. And, because you really want to kind of, as soon as they're ready, you just kind of take off. And those are like the
yeah.
best people that you could work with. Now, if you were starting from scratch today, I love this question. If you're starting from scratch today, no followers, no capital, no connections, what secret move would you use to get ahead fast?
It's very simple. Just share the story, share my story. Like what was I doing before? What am I doing now? And what steps did I take to get there? Right. And that's it. Just sharing your truth, how you show up, the life that you live, the way that you do things. And then anyone that engages or shows some interest where they follow, they like, they comment, or anything like that, reach out, have a conversation. It's very simple. Content, conversation, calls, and clients. That's the way that I tell people, right? It starts with content, have conversations from the content, see if they need some help or they're stuck, jump to get on a call, and then see if they want to become a client from that. And I think, and it's all just literally grabbing a camera and just talking about your experiences. And that's either share stories, share your opinions, or you could just share some advice of what worked for you or what worked for someone else that you went. And it's almost like too simple. People try to overcomplicate it. They'll overthink what content or that kind of stuff as well. And that's lit, right? It's maybe you don't know what you want to talk about, but just talk about something. Right? I talk about so many things: life, van life, travel, being a parent, money, family, content, TikTok, and I'm like, well, which one resonates with me and which one resonates with other people the most? And then maybe I'll start doing a bit more of that.
That's amazing. So once you see sort of more of that, then you kind of go. A lot of the experts are saying that in the summit, which is amazing. They're saying I would go out and talk to people and find out what it is people need.
Yeah,
What do they
yeah,
need help on? What do they need advice from? Because if we're coming from that point of giving, you want to make sure you're kind of helping people with something that they
mm,
really want. Now this is about wealth building. So think about more like wealth building or, finances, like think about the old Josh
hmm
Lee. And now the people that you meet today that kind of are more like the old Josh than the new Josh.
yeah.
What's the biggest lie or misconception about wealth building that keeps 98% of people stuck?
I think for me, and I can speak from personal experience, is that because I had a rougher childhood where wasn't we used to eat ketchup sandwiches most days. I had like 50p or about $1 was my pocket money for the week. We didn't come from money. Wealth to us wasn't related to money. So I always think it's that your past version of yourself shouldn't define the version of who you are today or who you're going to be tomorrow. And I think once you realize that yes, that has happened, and accept it's happened, and just know that that isn't happening now, and that's not happening tomorrow. That's what's going to really help you push forward, because I've had to work through a lot of childhood trauma, beliefs about who I am, my identity, how I show up. And I think that really that stops a lot of people, right? They consistently spin these lies and these beliefs to themselves that they are still that person, or that person they can't be the person, the wealthy person, which is usually wealth isn't considered many, not just money. It's the wealth to spend time and what is wealthy to you, which is time with family, friends, for yourself, or that kind of stuff. So I think for me, it's like I see that they know that, hey, it's possible for me, because 98% of the world probably had the same problems. There's always someone else in the world that's had the same problems as you in one way or another, but they're still 10, 20, 100, even like 1,000 steps ahead of you, and they've done it. So there's no reason why you can't do it as well.
I love that. I love that answer. That is amazing. And so lastly, like, is there anything else you'd want to share with our audience before we end this amazing interview? I understand you might have a personal gift that you want to share with this
Yeah.
audience.
So I think for me is that this is I read a so I just want to share with just like a quote, because something that really has helped me is I read a book once by Susan Jeffers, and it's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I think for me, there's always going to be fear around decisions that you make. Fear of quitting a 9 to 5, fear of actually stepping away from a 12-hour workday and instead only working 4 hours, fear of posting that first video and actually saying what you deep down want to be sharing when telling the world, but you're scared of what people may say or people may think of you. So it's feel that fear and do it anyway. And trust me, 98 or was it 80 and 90% of our worries never come true anyway. It's just what we and our conscious believes that it's true, even if it's just a thought. They don't know what's real and what's true. So I would share that with people just to take away from this. So whatever you've been thinking you want to do for so long, embrace it and just do it anyways. And on secondary, I do have a private community, and I've got like a school group. It's got tons of free resources, how to use TikTok, how to sell through TikTok, and there's some other free trainings, hashtag templates, content templates, anything just to make your life easier. Because I know how hard it is to come up with ideas to post or use hashtags and all that. So I'm going to gift that to everyone that's listening today. It's my community. I think Monica will share the link. Just put your name and email in there, and I'll give you access. And there's a community of us in there. You can ask questions, get help, and I'll just give you some help and assistance. And I'm always going to be there if you need me. If you want to maybe grab some more personal time with me, there's the option to do that as well.
That's it. And thank you so much for that generous gift. And thank you so much for your time. Audience, the email that you received today with this video on it has the link to the free gift below. So make sure to tune into that and take advantage of this, because Josh, you are just so inspirational and so amazing. And thank you, audience, for tuning in. We will have another amazing expert sharing their financial freedom story tomorrow and their financial freedom strategies. So the point of this really, Josh, is for everyone to walk away with like 21 different possible strategies
Mm.
to wealth building. And how could people use this towards their own financial freedom? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. We'll see you all tomorrow.